Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at a trainer who had a 21-4 day climbing to legend in the Master League by completely disrespecting Ho-Oh. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, the actual Nomad, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now his team features Dialga Origin lead, Dusk main safe switch, and Tapu Bulu closer, so it's triple weak to Ho-Oh. However, he's able to overcome facing multiple Ho-Ohs and hit legend along the way. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out the team in action in the Open Master League. We've got a mirror lead in the first match, Dialga Origin versus Dialga Origin. Dialga does form a pretty good core pairing with Ho-Oh, so you're probably going to want to switch out at some point to check for the Ho-Oh, and there is the switch and the catch, catching the Roar of Time onto that Duskmane Necrozma. And Duskmane will be answered with the Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh going to get a big Incinerate down, but not before Duskmane is able to connect with the Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse plus 2 Shadow Claws means that Duskmane has been KO'd, but now in comes the Dialga. Dialga going to be committing the shield as Ho-Oh will go for the Sacred Fire, going to go for 4, and the move, unfortunately the game stutters and forces that move to be thrown on alignment. Oh, disaster strikes in game number 1, and now the opponent is just going to fire off their Brave Bird. That is going to be shielded. This will set up a massive farm down for the Dialga. Dialga gets so much energy, and the question will be, what does the opponent want to send in? They bring back in the Dialga. Dialga getting hit with the Roar of Time. They let it go. In the back is Zarude, and Zarude is going to get absolutely shredded by Tapu Bulu. They had the Ho-Oh. The team was triple weak, but they did not protect the Ho-Oh, and now their Zarude is absolutely cooked against this Tapu Bulu. Power Whip will connect. Tapu Bulu making it to another Nature's Madness. This will be forcing the final shield from the opponent. Zarude going to have to try and overfarm as much as they can. Zarude going to try and pick up the knockout here with the Power Whip. Power Whip is not going to be able to KO the Tapu Bulu, hanging on, making it to the Nature's Madness, knocking out Zarude and taking the win. Hopping into the next match, we've got a bit of a core breaker on the lead, Dialga Origin versus Duskmane. Duskmane can beat both Dialga and the Tapu Bulu in the back, so it is a little bit problematic to see on the lead, but honestly Dialga is so good that it plays this matchup close enough that this is fine to stay in. Going to build up to the Roar of Time and bait with the Iron Head. Decision time for the Dialga, commits the shield, gets baited with a Dark Pulse. As the Duskmane, you do want to try and land Sunsteel in this matchup. It's resisted, but it is just such an incredible move that it's still going to be the move to go for. Ironhead going to be no shielded. Opponent, if they want to, can connect with a Sunsteel Strike. They only end up going for a Dark Pulse bait that will not KO. They're going to bank a move, safe switch into Palkia, and Palkia is about to get immediately destroyed by Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu, a complete wall to energy from Palkia. The Aqua Tail, the Spatial Rend, neither one is doing anything in this matchup. Nature's Madness will connect, and that's going to set up a very nice farm down for the Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu, unfortunately, will have to take one more move, but that's still survivable as Bulu exits with energy. Goes for the Nature's Madness, loses charge attack priority to the Duskmane. Duskmane fires off the Sunsteel Strike as it's not getting to another move. Going for a Zero Bubble here, looking to get some extra farm. Opponent is going to queue up a switch. In the back, they have Kyogre. Kyogre is going to be hit with the Nature's Madness. The threat of a Grass Knot should be able to grab a shield from the Kyogre, and this of course means that future moves are going to be doing more. Farming up a lot of energy with the Duskmane, and there's the catch. Saved that Dialga from earlier, and it pays off, catching the Surf, and now it is Sunsteel Strike time, as a Surf from Kyogre will not be enough to KO the Duskmane. Surf will connect. Duskmane gonna go for the Sunsteel Strike, and with their lower defense, it doesn't matter that this move is resisted. It picks up the KO, getting to farm down the opposing Duskmane and taking the win. Hopping into the next match, picking up a pretty okay lead, Dialga Origin versus the Zacian. Zacian does typically have a favorable matchup here, but Dialga can fight back pretty nicely. Most Zacian are on Play Rough plus Wild Charge, and that makes this matchup more comfortable for the Dialga. Unfortunate mistiming there, ending up giving the Zacian an entire Snarl for free. Zacian shields, which is a pretty big surprise to me, because that's a move they can survive. They don't have to shield there, and they can win the zeros. They're now going to go for the Wild Charge. Dialga going to be able to force the final shield, as the opponent, they're just never going to be letting it go if they shielded before they were debuffed. These Dragon Breaths are adding up a lot. They're just going to fire off back-to-back wild charges, so there's no point in shielding against the Dialga. You just let it go and go for farm with the Duskmane. Duskmane, these Shadow Claws adding up quite a bit. Zacian really going to try and make it to one more wild charge after this one connects, and Zacian does survive to get there, and we're now going to see the shield from the Duskmane. Duskmane leaving with a ton of energy. In comes, oh my goodness, they try for the peekaboo play. They bring in the Dawn Wings. They try and catch a Dark Pulse onto the Xerneas, but it does not work. Sunsteel Strike connects, and you just can't let Duskmane have this much energy. Duskmane fully sweeping an endgame. Tapu Bulu gets to take the game off. We've got a core breaker on the lead in the next match, and its name is Landorus. Not only is this team triple weak to Ho-Oh, but it is also weak to Landorus. Landorus does lose the zeros versus Dialga, however, so Dialga will be able to do okay here. Opponent save switches into a Zygarde. Oh no, they gave up switch because they lose the zeros, and now they're getting hit with the Tapu Bulu. Nature's Madness will connect, and Tapu Bulu, unless the Zygarde is running Hyper Beam, is going to completely wall the energy. Tapu Bulu will have a nice chance to overfarm in this matchup, going to farm up and then play to the CMP tide, Nature's Madness to the Crunch. Nature's Madness will be able to pick up the knockout. Is the opponent going to be sending back in the Landorus? Landorus is brought back onto the field. Tapu Bulu just firing off the energy instantly, wanting to apply pressure onto the Landorus. The Nature's Madness does get no shielded. We're actually going to see the shield from the Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu hoping to be able to debuff whatever is in the back, and it's Palkia in the back. Oh no, the opponent running a team triple weak to the Tapu Bulu, and Tapu Bulu gets a shield, gets to debuff, and now in comes Duskmane. Normally, Dark Pulse not threatening at all to Palkia. Palkia can very comfortably tank that, but now that the defense has been debuffed, these Shadow Claws and Dark Pulses are going to do a lot. Like, we see the Palkia forced to shield there. Palkia does win charge stack priority, so they could have overfarmed and played to the CMP type, but instead they're just going to fire off the Aqua Tail here. That will pick up the KO, but there's a Roar of Time ready on the Dialga. Dialga able to secure the knockout onto Palkia. In comes the Landorus, and despite being ABA weak to Landorus, the game ends in victory. Unfortunately, more core breakers on the lead in the next match, leading Dialga into Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh doesn't throw right away. They farm to 100, which means it's a very safe time for Dialga to CMP tie, because Ho-Oh will never go over 100 energy intentionally. So we do see the Ho-Oh shielding up the Iron Head bait, the Sacred Fire fired in return, and it does get the debuff. This means this Iron Head will not KO. Ho-Oh can survive this and fire off the Sacred Fire, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Dialga choosing to let this through. Sacred Fire is going to be able to pick up the knockout, but this will set up farm for Duskmane. In comes the Duskmane. Duskmane gets a farm down, exiting with energy. Out comes Zygarde. With Zygarde entering the field, you would love to be able to catch a move onto the Tapu Bulu. Sunsteel Strike is going to connect. Farm it up. A switch attempt at a crunch catch in the back is Dialga. Not an amazing spot to be in if it's the one shield, but Tapu Bulu does have an energy advantage. And the question will be, is this energy advantage enough? Opponent firing off their Iron Head, Tapu Bulu forced to expend the final Protect shield of the match. Going for the Nature's Madness. If it's able to get to a third Nature's Madness, then this game should end in victory. Opponent choosing to let this through. They're trying to make one last second charge attack, and they do not get there. Due to the energy advantage, Tapu Bulu able to win the one shield, and now Zygarde will get absolutely destroyed. We see a switch out into the Duskmane. Opponent forced to throw energy here. They will go for the Crunch. Crunch does not KO, and now it's time for Sunsteel Strike as Duskmane gets its revenge, knocking out the Zygarde and securing the victory. We see a familiar lead in the next match as it's another Dialga Origin Mirror. The most successful team strategies are where the battler ends up finding a successful strategy for each lead and playing it out the same way. Here, tried to go for the catch that they did before, but unfortunately it looks like it may have tapped next to it instead of the button, so unfortunately not able to get the catch this time. Opponents should just let this go and farm with their Bakamon. They actually shield. I really don't like that shield from the opponent. They could have just let it go and then gotten more farm with their back Pokemon because they're losing switch anyway, but now they not only don't have switch, but they also don't have a shield advantage. So overall, just plays out worse for the opponent to shield there. In comes Zygarde. Zygarde's gonna get farm, but that farm is gonna go nowhere against the Tapu Bulu. In comes the Tabubulu. Tabubulu gets denied. One turn bring in. You absolutely hate to see it. Earthquake connects. The fact that throwing any energy, though, means they're completely core broken by the Bulu, as the Zygarde would never voluntarily throw energy onto a Bulu unless it was like a worst case situation. Zygarde farming past the crunch. Tabubulu going to threaten a knockout with the Nature's Madness. We see a no shield in the back, and it's Palkia. Oh no. The trainer running triple dragon, and they run into a fairy type, and just like that, it's all over. We see a switch and a catch, the opponent throwing on alignment and getting punished for it. And at this point, they should just concede the match. They're playing it out, but there's absolutely no way to win this. Like, Duskmane doesn't have to shield. Duskmane is very fine here. Spatial Rend, it's not going to matter. This is a debuffed Palkia. This Dark Pulse should be enough to knock out the Palkia. Looks like not quite, but the opponent realizes eventually they do not have a win con, and they will resign. Ho-Oh lead has returned in the next match, and as always, it will be a difficult one. But so far, the team that is triple weak to Ho-Oh has beat every Ho-Oh that it's faced. Opponent is going to fire off the Sacred Fire and force the shield, and now it's Dialga's turn, firing back with the Iron Head bait and grabbing the shield back. Opponent is going to build up to the Sacred Fire, losing charge stack priority on the Iron Head, and we should see this play out in a similar fashion. Playing out the ones, farming with Duskmane, and trusting that Duskmane energy will do quite well in the back. Sacred Fire picks up the KO, in comes Duskmane, opponent pivots out into Reshiram, a Pokemon that we have not seen in quite some time, but is particularly troublesome for a team that is very soft to fire types. Ho-Oh by itself is beatable. Ho-Oh paired with a second fire type. Genuinely, I don't know if this game is going to be winnable. The Fusion Flare will be shielded. Duskmane firing off the Dark Pulse. If the opponent shields, this could get very uncomfortable. They actually let the Reshiram go. What is that final Pokemon going to be? Is it going to be another dragon? It is. It's Palkia, and in comes Tabubulu. But the uncomfortable thing you have to keep in mind, of course, is the ever-present Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh is lurking, and the switch clock will be up. In comes Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh will be instantly met with the Nature's Madness. Nature's Madness is going to be able to pick up the knockout. They don't shield the Ho-Oh, and now, how are they going to get rid of the Tabubulu? I'm a bit surprised that they didn't shield. They probably would have gotten outpaced and wouldn't have landed a move, but those Incinerates would have been very, very valuable. Whereas now, even if they go for the Aqua Tail, it will not KO, and two fire types on the same team lose to a team that has no fire type resistance. That game, honestly, I'm not quite sure how that ended in victory. Decently, Dialga versus Duskmane, slightly losing lead overall, but it's decent because at the very least it's here and not on the Tabubulu. Opponent is going to strike first, Dialga deciding to commit a shield, and this Necrozma is running Outrage. Outrage packs a serious punch in this matchup as it does get same type attack bonus. Opponent calls the Iron Head bait, no fear from the opponent, and now Dialga in an awkward spot. Does it really want to go down two shields? No, the Outrage connects, that deals devastating damage. And if the opponent wants, they can either take shield advantage or shield and farm down. They're going to take shield advantage. In comes Landorus. Landorus gets energy, and Landorus energy is going to be very difficult for this backline to deal with. You can bring in the Tabubulu. Opponent doesn't build up to the Stone Edge. They just go for the Sandsear. In my view, that's a pretty big error by the opponent. And now we're going to see Tabubulu, for the first time all video, throw a Grass Knot. Ending up going for the Grass Knot as it will hit harder. Tabubulu now going to respect a potential Stone Edge. There's the Stone Edge from the Landorus. Now we will see the Nature's Madness looking to apply a debuff onto the Lando. Lando still has all shields available, decides to use one. We see the switch into Necrozma. Is this the Stone Edge catch? It is, and that's what happens when you don't throw on good timing, is the opponent is able to make a catch, so the opponent there doesn't end up throwing on good timing principles, and it costs them in a massive way. Catching the Stone Edge now means that this game genuinely might be winnable. It all comes down to whether Duskmane can get the move, and it can't. And in that moment, this game is over because Palkia is going to be able to make multiple charge attacks, and the Tabubulu is just too low. So Palkia is going to make Aqua Tail number 2, knocking out the Tabubulu. That game probably should have been a loss anyway, but the opponent throwing on poor timing did almost lead to that game being a win for the actual Nomad. Hopping into the final match, we've got Dialga Origin versus the standard Dialga. And of course, OG Dialga is going to win charge attack priority. They're going to bait with the Iron Head, and it looks like Iron Head was clicked here as well. So will the opponent also end up committing a shield? Yes, they will. As always, this is a little bit of an uncomfortable matchup, just purely based on the fact that the OG Dialga has the higher attack stats. You're always going to be losing charge attack priority. The Origin, however, is slightly bulkier. Going to exchange Iron Heads once again. Iron Head plus the farm means a 1 HP survive for Dialga Origin. In comes Palkia, immediately met with the Bulu. They're not switching out until now. They send in Landorus, but they gave Bulu too much of an energy head start. The opponent needed to switch into the Landorus instantly, as now they're just going to get absolutely shredded by energy from the Tapu Bulu. Tapu already had another Nature's Madness, forcing the shield. We see the switch. I love that play. Waiting the turn to switch and catch the Stone Edge. That's a beautiful catch there. And it's just over. It's just over. There is nothing the opponent can do at this point. They go for the Sandsear Storm. That hesitation, anticipating they would throw on good timing and punishing them for it, was beautiful as the opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. All in all, if you show me this team on paper, I would probably not view it as a particularly successful team, just due to the fact that being ABA weak to Landorus and AAA weak to Ho-Oh, not the greatest ideas on paper, but it goes to show that you can run some pretty unbalanced teams if you come into it with a strategy of how to play it out. And that's exactly what this battler's done, running a very, very unbalanced team, but running it with strategy in mind, and even being able to overcome the Pokemon that the team is triple weak to. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.